The Punisher, Episode 3, Kandahar. So this episode gives us the official revelation of exactly what happened to Frank with his group and everything that went on with his friends and his current enemies, his former enemies with his former commander, who's played by Clancy Brown. So I thought that was really cool. I like that we got to see that. We get to see Frank being insanely stubborn like through the whole episode with Micro, and it made sense at first, but it was super funny when he woke up and he was like, "Why didn't you kill me?" And I was like, wow, he really wasn't paying attention. Like, he did not believe him whatsoever. And it was just pretty funny that he woke up and that was the first thing he thought. It was like, you would think that it would kind of be like, okay, then maybe the first thing he would say is like, okay, now I believe you or something. But the first thing he thought was still, why didn't you kill me? And it was like, that the fact that you woke up at all should be the answer to your question right there. But I thought that was actually kind of funny. But it was really cool officially getting the flashbacks as we go through their time. Frank's time is, plus his buddy Russo, we get a lot more context on who he is as a character. And, we get to see their time as they're like the two lieutenants. And so they're good friends and they're like, the two lieutenants. So they have their two teams amongst this secret Cerberus project, which of course is never truly sanctioned or anything like that. And for a while it goes through and it's kind of normal. Frank didn't really question much of what was happening because it was just them doing missions, no big deal. Even early on, they have it where the guy that they kill, Zubair, I believe is his name, he's like digging the bullet out of him, and the other guy, is saying, he's like, it seems to me like we're burying evidence. And it's like, are you cool with that? He's like, hey, it's not my place to really question it. It just is what it is for Frank. And he was just going along with it. He was actually fine for a long time until he got to that point where he was like, this just seems wrong, like we're about to get screwed over. And it's like, if that's the case, and I believe that's the case because that's what I would do, and we're already crappy people, we're going in the middle of the night and making people disappear, so we shouldn't do this. And of course they end up going through with it. Ultimately, I can't remember Clancy Brown's character name, but he's the CL, the commanding officer, and he's like, well, I'm gonna basically go with the dude in the suit. And it's like, Will's up at 2300 hours, get boots on the ground. That's what's about to happen. And of course, regardless of their arguments, they end up having to do it because they're following orders, and it's absolute chaos. People are losing. The CEO Clancy Brown, he ends up losing his arm. Of course, we have the one guy who lost his leg, but that was of course before. So it was kind of interesting watching that, where I was like, the first thing I thought of was that character, but he wasn't in there, which we find out because of the scene of them at the graveyard, where he's like, he told me I was fortunate to not have actually been involved with it. And Russo's like, yeah, he was right. So, like they go over, we still see somebody, losing an arm. We see people just all sorts of wounded and bandaged up and losing eyes. And they're just trapped. And then of course we get to see Frank do his Punisher thing where he goes nuts. And I feel like this kind of ties in a little bit to a really popular Punisher story where it's about him during the war, and it shows that he was crazy, way before his family died. That was just him. And he goes through and he's taking people out, he's shooting them up, and he starts off with the shotgun, then he switches to an assault rifle, and then it goes down to him just having a knife and he's just stabbing people. And then they get knocked down by a missile coming in and hitting the building, and then he just picks up a piece of rubble, and it goes down to he got a rock and was just bashing somebody's head in, and he was insanely bloodied up and everything. And the people that survive, most of them survive wounded, and they have a super gross moment in slow motion where he throws up and it's just like, just pouring out. I was like, that was super gross. I thought it was just going to be blood, and then like chunks started coming out, and I was like, it's already kind of gross when people throw up, and I can handle it, but seeing it in slow motion and it was bloody and it was chunks in it, I was like, that just looks like he legitimately vomited up parts of him that just came off on the inside. And I was like, that was just super gross to see. But of course the dude comes in, the guy in the suit, no big deal, perfectly clean, everything's fine, and it's just like, did you kill the target? And like that, he doesn't care. All these wounded people, bandaged eyes and everything, and he's just like, so did you kill the target? Like, is the target dead? Did you kill the target? And of course Frank lost it. It was like, you did this to us. And he socked him one great time and knocked his eye out, or he messed him up. He hit him so freaking hard, he just, I don't know, just squished his eye. I don't know, it was just poop red, and there's no more eye to be had. So Russo kind of pushes him out of the room. It's like, I'm not trying to protect him, I'm protecting you, because this stuff never falls on people like that. It'll fall on us. So Russo tells him, we should get out of this. Like, that's what I'm doing. Like, we need to look at ourselves, and you need to look at yourself, because this sucks. Like, I realized it just like you did before we went into this, but he'd already put his request in, and that was just what it all came down to. Was like that was that final moment where it just went crazy, and because of that moment with Frank not actually leaving and officially going away, it kept going a little bit further until the point where they killed his family. And it was just like, man, and Micro says, like, you made that decision just like I made the decision to send that file, and they decided to come after me. And if they hadn't thought they killed me, which, the phone saved his life, then they would have killed my family. And I can't go back until we solve this problem. So now that they are, everything's all said and done, they got all the backstories out and everything like that, they can officially start working together. So I'll say this was definitely a really good episode. It had definitely the action in there, especially that crazy ending sequence with him. But even the stuff with Micro, like his story was kind of sad, where it was just like all he did was send one file, and because they were higher up people, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's got to go, and they get him, in the car, and he's like, all right, just stay in the car, and he goes off, and his wife has to watch him get shot, and he falls into the water, and the dude's there, and it's just like he's got a gun and everything. He's like, no, I don't, like, please don't shoot me, and please don't shoot my wife. And it's like, man, that really sucked. Like, he had to leave his family, and then he was just taken away from them, and that's where it was. Like, they thought he was dead, so he had to stay off the grid, after that point. So definitely a cool episode with showing their backstories and how they were betrayed and what led to the loss that they both have experienced so far. And now they can finally start working together. And of course we have Dinah. She's still going through. She's freaking out because it's like, I don't trust anyone but myself. And I think the other guy's name was Seth, if I remember right. And it's just the two of them at this point. And she's freaking out. And even he says, like, isn't that a little scary? Like, it's just us. Like, we need more than us. And she doesn't want that to happen. And he's like, you came in here with all this, and now you want me to keep your secrets? And she's like, yeah, kind of just bossing him around. And, he's like, you gotta earn that trust and respect, and you're definitely not doing that, like pulling a 180 on me and instantly becoming who our last boss was to me as well. So, they're getting, not really close as far as this episode. It was off from the perspective of Frank and Micro, but for them, she's in charge now, so she's able to go forward, but now she's a bit worried about it. Like, she talks to her mother, who's, I don't know the actress, like, she seems so familiar to me. I'm like, I know I've seen her in something, I just don't know what, but she's got an epic voice. Like, she has like a really deep voice for a woman, but it's like perfectly deep. Like, it's a really cool voice. But she talks with the mom where she's like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to lead, but I think it has a lot more to do with, oh crap, this dude got killed because I already knew I was close to something, and then he dies. I don't need that to happen to me. It clearly wasn't easy, but she doesn't really know that if she went after Frank, which of course I'm sure they'll have their interaction. I think that's even in one of the trailers. He doesn't want to kill her because she's technically one of the good guys, but if you get in his way, some things may or may not happen, but of course he won't actually kill her. So it should be interesting to see how that plays out as she starts to learn, oh, the Punisher doesn't kill, legitimately good people. Like, he will get me out of his way, but he's not going to actually kill me. So I think when she realizes that, that'll be a big change. But until then, like, we got quite a few episodes to go before, that big moment happens where he could have killed her, and then she's like, oh, I understand when, I really get what he's like now. So, looking forward to that, but this was definitely an awesome episode, naturally. Want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And, of course, with where things are headed, having the backstory for Micro and then getting the full revelation of, like, the actual mission and how things kind of built up to the chaos for Frank as well as his buddy Russo. I would love to know where you guys think things are headed for Frank as far as this resolution, because I believe Russo is going to end up being one of his enemies. I think I saw that from one of the trailers. There's like a random scene with him where there's like an explosion behind him, but I don't know exactly what that means. It could just be a random scene, but I was like, that just looked like a menacing shot, so maybe he's one of the villains. And they still seem cool, because even in the flashback, that's kind of what I was waiting for, was for them to end up being enemies. And it was, that wasn't really the case, but I feel like there's something there, because obviously he didn't trust Russo as much to go to him. Like, he went to his buddy and saying, like, hey, I'm still alive and stuff like that, but he doesn't go to his friend Russo. So there's a reason for that, and we might see more of the flashback. And it could have been Frank's fault, honestly. I mean, his buddy was the one that left, and Frank didn't. So I don't know. It could actually be Frank's fault that they're enemies at this point. So I'm excited to see how that'll play out. But I would love to know how you guys think it's going to play out between the two of them, and what's going to where that relationship is headed once his buddy. I'm assuming his buddy's gonna find out that he's alive. So we'd love to know your theories on how that's gonna play out, and of course, want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.